Welcome back to the Morphing Tower podcast, everyone. That's right, the Morphing Tower podcast, where things happen and we don't explain them, because if we had to explain them, that would be the entire episode. I would like to start off this episode by reading a memo that I received not too long ago. This is from, the electrics department. I didn't know that was a separate department in the building, but I guess that makes sense. It says, "To the employees of the Morphing Tower, this missive is to address the recent power outage that occurred on May 19th, 1985. We would formally like to apologize for the inconvenience caused by the outage that dotted the building the other day. If we, the electrics department, believed that backup generators had been necessary as the tower was tapped into the city grid, rest assured all employees would have been notified. We apologize for this oversight. We had been convinced that the wiring cables had grown enough to do their job. It would appear that this building is not yet ready to mesh with the existing power grid. With that in mind, we will continue running power off our alternate source, and will work around the clock to repair any damage caused by the outage. If you experience any strange electrical feedback or data loss or game, please contact us immediately. We have no intention of keeping anyone in the dark." From Polly Martin, head electrician from the electrics department. Oh, alrighty. Joining me today on this window washer scaffolding that is somewhat speckled in blood and currently unoccupied is a previous guest of the show. It's my brother Luke. Welcome back to the show.
Hello.
This is very high up. Like, very high up.
I'm not very good with heights. I'm going to be completely honest with you here.
Yeah, I was just going to kind of stare back into the building, I got to be honest.
I'm staring straight down.
Oh no, I wouldn't I wouldn't recommend that.
It's what I'm doing, and the vertigo is kicking in.
It's the Shrek rule. Just don't. Well, it's nice to be out in the fresh air, because I've been sick for the past couple days, and I was just sort of sitting down in one of the lounges off of one of the offices, and I found an old TV on one of those old carts, you know, the CRT ones. I rolled that puppy into the room, and I plugged it all in, and I started checking around, and as it turns out, there was an abandoned desk, and I found all of the Mission Impossible movies. So, obviously, what I did was I watched practically all of them yesterday.
How many did you end up watching?
Technically, I didn't watch all of them yesterday because, obviously, you and I recently had the opportunity to watch Mission Impossible Fallout. First movie's from 96. So there's Mission Impossible, Mission Impossible 2, Mission Impossible 3, Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6 is Fallout. So, and then 7. I watched 6. Six Mission Impossible movies yesterday. And I gotta tell you, Dead Reckoning Part 1, which is the one from 2023, it's the last one that they've made. Obviously, they're making another one that's set to come out soon. That movie was almost 3 hours long.
Jeez.
The part one, for some reason, and like, obviously I wish I could remember all the details. Maybe watching the movies in like a semi-sick haze was a horrible idea. So there's 4 original directors for the first 4, and then the same person's directed all the rest of them. So for the first movie, it was Brian De Palma. The second one was John Woo. The third one is J.J. Abrams, and the fourth one is Brad Bird, director of Incredibles. So, like, there's similar flavors to practically all of the movies. I would say, for practically all of them, there's a very similar feel and vibe. Except for Mission Impossible 2, directed by John Woo. That movie is the angsty teen of the Mission Impossible movies. And we need to watch this film because the editing, like, watching it while sick was a horrible idea. Because I was this close to yakking at some of the editing decisions that were being made for Mission Impossible 2. Some directors really love their slow-mo. John Woo loves his slow-mo. Like, there's stuff that happens in the final fight sequence in Mission Impossible 2. So, to put it in perspective, in the first movie, young Tom Cruise, circa 1996, he's like just sort of bland spy. He's not even really quite action hero. He's very just sort of, he's a well-written character in that first one, but he's not doing a lot of crazy stuff, right? The second movie, he's always wearing like a long flowing jacket. He's got shades on. He's like jumping through the air with 2 pistols firing. Like sometimes not even looking where he's firing. It's this really weird, like, I don't know. Hold on. So now I gotta look up when did The Matrix come out? Because there are sequences from John Woo's Mission Impossible movie that very much remind me. Oh, it was 1999, so that would make sense, because Mission Impossible 2 is 2000. There's a lot of action sequences in Mission Impossible 2 where all of a sudden, Tom Cruise is like Neo from The Matrix.
Yeah.
But this got me thinking about, like, movies, because, ironically, I mentioned The Matrix. After yesterday, it felt like the sequence where they plug his brain in, and, like, they download all the information to his brain, and he's like, I know Kung Fu. That's what it felt like. Like, at the end of the day... Well, first of all, I audibly said, are you kidding me, when I saw the runtime of the last movie, because it was already, like, 10:30 at night.
Yeah.
I was like, I got 3 more hours of this. I've been watching these all day, and they were fun. Absolutely, they were fun. The last time I watched that many films in the same series back-to-back like that was back in Vegas. Many years ago, when I was able to visit Caber out there. We watched all the Harry Potter movies over the course of like 2 to 3 days. Yeah. And so even then, there was like some more space. Because some of those movies are longer. But I was just curious, what's like the longest series of films you've ever watched through? Like, not even necessarily in one sitting, but like over the course of a couple days, was there ever any series that you like sort of binged a franchise?
Oh, this isn't binging by any means, but last week I watched Final Destination, and then this past week I watched Final Destination 2, thinking about trying to watch all of them so I can watch the new one in theaters.
How many are there?
5. The one that just came out is the 6th.
But how many movies, like,
with the exact same plot can you make? As many as you want.
Can you explain what the premise is? Because let me tell you what I think. I'm going to tell you what I think it's about. Yeah. Okay, I think that there is some sort of supernatural evil force.
Wrong.
That okay. Good talk. I was saying, like, it's called Final Destination, right? Is it like a curse? Like, do people know that, oh, you're slated to die? Like the black spot for a pirate. Like, do people know? Or is it just a series of people dying?
You have the general gist right, except it's not just an evil force. The point is that death has a list. And so if you cheat death's list, it will come for you by other means.
Okay.
So the point is, movie starts off, guy is in a plane, has a premonition about the plane exploding, everyone dying. He freaks out. He says, the plane's going to explode. And so everyone's freaked out. A few people leave the plane with him. Then they see it take off and it explodes. And so everyone that got off with him now is essentially on death's list because they all cheated death.
Well, that sucks.
But you can. There's ways they allude to that you can beat death, etc., etc. But not to spoil anything. So far, just about everyone has died. So they haven't had good luck with it thus far. I don't know if. I mean, there's 3 more movies and then this new one. So I'm sure there is some, something they could do.
Have you seen the picture of the Final Destination log truck?
Oh yeah, that's in the first movie.
No. Like the actual like the advertisement on the back of a log truck. Hold on, I'll pull it up here on this little terminal that's on the side here. I think Final Destination.
Oh, for the new one.
Yeah, I think they did it as a promotional thing,
awesome.
as they just have log trucks driving around with Final Destination on the back and on the side. I mean, that's brilliant. I mean, when you got that card, you might as well play that card.
Yeah.
So you're actually planning on watching all the way through those?
Maybe. The way they do the deaths is pretty unique. It's pretty cool. That's pretty much the draw of it. You know, like, the plot is... It is what it is. I mean...
Would you almost say that... So, like, think, like, slasher movies from, like, the 80s, right? You have a character, sometimes supernatural, sometimes not. Usually the most interesting ones are supernatural, so you can explain away how in the heck they continue living after seemingly dying, so they can make more movies. But, like, a lot of what I feel draws horror fans, or slasher fans, are the unique kills. Like, they like that. Like, even if it's twisted, but even if the bad guy's killing a good guy, or a victim, if it's done in a creative way, or the kill is done in a creative way, like, people enjoy that. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but when you make a Final Destination movie, and you just chalk it up to, like, death, like the concept of death, I feel like you have a much bigger canvas to paint with, because you're not tied down with, okay, the man in the mask has to enter the building somehow, find the people. You don't need a bunch of plot devices if just random chance can take you out.
What I really like is that they fake you out. And because everyone knows, after, like, the first one especially, they ramp up the... But they even do it in the first one. What they do is, like, you kind of go into a scene with a character that you know is slated to die, even if they know or not, and they're just living their lives. And the way the camera goes around and the things it chooses to settle on makes you think, oh, shoot, like, he's going to get electrocuted. Or, oh, my goodness, that thing he's using to, like, tweeze his nose is going to get rammed into his brain. Like, you're looking at all the many things in the scene that could possibly kill them. And then you're just sitting there wondering, how the heck are they going to die? But oftentimes, it'll do foreshadowing and things that kind of clue you to actually how they will die. And it's a really cool gimmick, except for the fact that we've noticed, at least in the first one, semi in the second, hoping this gets better later on, it always chooses, like, the lamest of the things, it seems like. Like, it's like, oh, that would be a really interesting way for someone to die, and then something, like, completely normal happens, and you're like, oh, okay. Like, that's fine, I guess. Some of them are really cool, though.
Speaking of odd ad campaign type stuff, I figured we'd do a little old throwback to the first episode you were on, as we had quite the fun time reading through some news articles. And I have found one that I have not read very thoroughly. This could be an absolute dud, but we're going to chop it up and we're going to see how it goes.
I'm very locked in.
Okay. This comes from our friends at AP News, and the article is titled, Burro Racing Wins Over Runners in Backcountry Ode to Mining History. I will go ahead and pull this up on the terminal for you, so that way any images related to this, we can take a look at them. Image 2, I think, is very, very interesting. And I'll tell you why this is interesting to me. Look at all of the people who came out for this event. There are very few things, and maybe this is just me personality-wise, there are very few things that I would get up out of my house to go sit on a street and watch happen, right? If it's a regular race, sure, you want to support friend, family, whatever. I get it, right? You're sitting, presumably, out in the sun, in the heat. Yeah, everyone's got their hats on. But now you add burros, which, for those listening, burros, I believe, is just code word for donkey?
Code word?
Hold on, what's the technical... Burro Definition. All I can think of is Despicable Me when I hear burro. A
Yeah.
small donkey, especially one used as a pack animal. Definition 2. A drug smuggler who swallows bags filled with a drug, especially heroin or cocaine, to avoid detection by drug enforcement officers or customs officials. Wait a minute. Hold on, where am I getting this? Definition 1, a small donkey. Definition 2, a drug smuggler. Definition 3, a donkey. Definition 4, a small donkey. Definition 5, small donkey used as a pack animal. Why is definition 2 so wildly different?
Is it similar to a small donkey?
I think I'm guessing it is. Based on what I'm seeing, it seems like the jury is not still out on this.
What is
I
it, kind
feel
of like a big donkey, but it's
no, it's smaller than a big donkey. It's like
kind of like a small
donkey. It's
right.
either that or someone who swallows cocaine and heroin. It's one of the two. I know that for a fact. This article, written by Morgan Lee, as of May 3rd of this year, Cerrillos, New Mexico. Backcountry runners are embracing the physical and emotional challenge of racing with pack burros that don't always move at their pace.
Yeah. Okay.
Burro races honor Old West history and hinge on a delicate partnership between runner and beast of burden. Burros, a Spanish-derived word for donkeys and their wild cousins, must carry a saddle, pick, pan, and shovel in homage to a bygone era and the mythical sprint by miners to a land claims office with their pack animal.
Yeah.
So,
Why not?
For humans, this is like a walk or a jog, because you ain't running with these things. There's a reason why the term stubborn as a mule exists, right? I don't think that these things want to run when you first saddle them down with all that crap.
Yeah.
So for you, you're taking a walk in a parade, but for the donkey, it's just a day of work randomly. I'm gonna check out this third photo here. We have an individual who may or may not be wearing football pads. No, I think that's supposed to be a camelback. It just looks like football pads. This is image 3. And they look at all the stuff they got on that burro. Look at all that stuff.
That's just... Does this not just seem mean?
What gave it away? The face of the burro?
Like, imagine, like, if you did a horse races, but you were like, guys, let's tie him down with, like, anchors and stuff. That'd be pretty funny to, like, see him, like, still try.
You remember back when we didn't have cars? Let's make these animals remember all the suffering that their ancestors went through. By holding all of our crap, none of us actually used picks or shovels. We all had to buy them from Home Depot so we could put them on our donkey, who's never had to be an actual beast of burden before. The article continues. Some 70 teams tested... 70? Teams? I guess human and burro. Some 70 teams tested their skills Saturday in a race winding through the historic turquoise mining town of Cerrillos in northern New Mexico. Runners led burros by rope on 6-mile and 3-mile courses, on unpaved roads and single-track desert trails. More ambitious burro races in Colorado can extend for nearly 30 miles. 30 miles. So
yeah, that is just...
The article writer here, Morgan Lee, is putting a tiny little addendum in that's like, if you want your pathetic wussy little burro races, check out these scrubs in their 6-mile and 3-mile races. In Colorado, they will kill these burros with 30-mile treks.
Jeez.
Racers often buy or inherit burros from owners who run out of money, time, or patience. Others adopt burros that were corralled by the federal government to prevent overpopulation. Novices easily can rent... the writing. Novices can easily rent an ass to try it out for kicks. So let me get this straight. Racers often buy or inherit burros from owners who run out of money. This is a chicken and the egg situation. The burro race exists, seemingly has existed for quite some time. Does that mean that a runner is like, there are tons of human events that I could run in, but there's one white whale I haven't been able to kill, or burro I haven't been able to kill. So I need to go out and I need to buy a burro for the race.
People do anything besides, things that enrich. It's there's people that this is what they do. They're like, wow, can't wait for next month's burro racing to just strap a bunch of crap on an ass and just send it to the desert single track for 30 miles.
The race in Cerrillos, which provided the rugged backdrop for the 1980s Western Young Guns, started with a madcap sprint as competitive teams galloped to the front of the pack and other burros instinctively attempted to keep pace. So there was a race, there was a sprint, and then I guess other donkeys in the area started filing in because they saw a bunch of other donkeys running. Is that what it's... So this is the history of how it got started, is people were running, some of their animals were running, and other animals were like, ooh, I want to go too.
Right.
Runners can't ride the burro, but can push, pull, and coax the animal as long as they don't abuse it. Some racers swing a rope in circles, like a lasso, to encourage movement. Others on the trail cry out, quote, hup hup, end quote.
Yeah.
So that's gotta be a real awkward situation. Imagine the sports betting invaded the burro race, and that Big Vinny is gonna put one in your dome piece unless you win, but you're not allowed to beat the donkey to go faster, so you just gotta plead or get real close to its ear and be like, if you don't freaking move, I swear, if you don't burrow faster, we're both gonna die.
Yeah, do they win anything?
I'm sure that Morgan Lee will explain that at some point. There better be. Let's just put it that way. If at the end of this is nothing more than bragging rights or flowers, that's positively insane. Joe Polonsky of Monument, Colorado. So this guy knows his burro races. He takes part in those 30-milers. Took up burro racing in 2018. As to why, God only knows. That was not in the article, that was me. He described himself as a mediocre ultra-marathon runner. But in burro racing, he's a top contender. Let me just stop you right there. Your burro is a racing contender. Because if the burro doesn't move, you will not win. This has nothing to do with you. Absolutely nothing to do with you. I'm sure you could be a very fast marathon runner, but if your burro's having an off day, what are you going to do?
I mean, publicly shamed amongst the burro racing community. And just your name sullied for all intents and purposes. I don't know.
Here's a quote from this here Joe Polonsky. Quote, I am fortunate because Jake does like to be up at the front at the start of the race, Polonsky said about his four-legged partner, so I will let him pull me. So he's like, thank God my burro likes to win. That's what this guy's saying. Is thank my lucky stars I got myself a donkey who has the desire to win as much as I do. He pulls me, he's that fast. This little coked out critter is just booking it. Do they have to do tests? Do you think they drug test the donkeys?
No. I feel like there's probably very little effort in the grand scheme put into the burro races.
Do you think that Joe Polanski dopes his burro? Do you think he turns his burro into a burro in the second definition?
Nah. I think you have a higher chance of having it just absolutely tweak out. Like, I feel like that is the more...
That's an event
realistic.
I would watch. Can you control a tweaked out donkey? That's the question.
Though, I will say, the movie Cocaine Bear is very loosely based on a real story where a bear did consume cocaine, and I believe it either... I don't know if it... I can't remember if it ran in a circle or ran in a straight line, but either way, it just ran in whatever shape until it died.
Yeah,
so
it
maybe
just had to run that energy out.
So maybe you're right. Maybe if you did coke up a burro, you'd have a dub in the bag, but also probably a dead burro in the bag. I would think. You just get a new one, I guess, if it's really that important to you. But
yeah, I guess apparently there's just a spoil of burros to be found in Cerrillos. Apparently you just find them. Burros wear a halter, which is less restrictive than a horse's bridle and bit, attached to a 15-foot rope held by the runner. Some racers tether the rope to their waist and draft off the burro. Okay, wait just a gosh darn second. So are you familiar with the concept of drafting? They'd have to be going so fast to get any sort of draft advantage. Like, how fast are you running?
I'm struggling to see how anyone gets up to any type of speed. Like, that drafting is even a viable strategy.
Also, just a side note, all these racers are wearing frickin' camelbacks. Where's the water for my donkeys?
Are
there, like, watering
any
stations?
Of these people give a hoot about the well-being of these animals.
Or do you think they let the donkeys sip out of their camelback?
No, I think it's part of the endurance.
Oh,
I think that's how they're measuring them. Not only how far and how long can they run, but how long can they go without basic necessities such as water.
Man, being a burro in Cerrillos must suck, where you're just like, there's one day a year where all these whites pull me out into the middle of nowhere, deprive me of water, and put a bunch of unnecessary weight on my back, and then make me run.
Sounds great.
Marvin Sandoval of Leadville, Colorado, and his mini burro named Buttercup finished first Saturday, completing the longer course in just over 49 minutes. Hundreds of cheering spectators lined the street, and the nearest competitors were out of sight. Oh, wow, Buttercup's fast. The secret to his racing success, Sandoval likened Buttercup to a unicorn. Quote, "She wants to be out front. She climbs really well," end quote.
Climbing involved?
We gonna touch that at all?
What are they climbing?
The secret to his racing success, Sandoval likened Buttercup to a unicorn. And then there's a colon. She wants to be out front. She climbs really well.
Oh, like climbs in the ranks. Okay.
A burro race can devolve into a contest of wills when the animals get defiant and won't budge. So, when they're animals.
Really?
Really?
Really? So when they're acting like a donkey? So when they're acting like exactly what kind of... You ever see... You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink? You know? It's
in this case, you can deprive a burro of water, but you can't make them run your stupid race.
You can strap a dang shovel on a donkey, but that doesn't mean it understands the dire situations of the gold rush. You know, they don't understand why they're running.
No.
You have to give them hope and a purpose. We're going to go pan for gold or something. Don't just be like, here I am in my New Balances, and here we are to go run 30 miles through Colorado. I think they know they're being played. I think they know They have all the gear on, and I think the burro has enough sense to be like, this isn't real. We're not going to do any excavating on the frontier. Like, I know that this is just what you do with your time, and I don't really want to be privy to it.
This is the third year in a row that Pam has dragged me out into the desert, and we have never found any gold. I'm out.
Nope. Not a scrapule. Not even like fool's gold. We're just here. There's other people from Colorado and the surrounding area, and we get to the end, and what? I'm still a burro. Yeah, no, I think it's malarkey.
What I'm finding out is that this author is an apologist. Morgan Lee might be too close to this, because listen to this.
We need listen to this voice here.
Listen to this paragraph. A burro race can devolve into a contest of wills when the animals get defiant and won't budge. But experienced racers say that doesn't mean the donkeys are being stubborn. They are smart and naturally curious animals. When they sense danger, discomfort, or the unknown, they lock down in place, unlike horses that quickly flee.
Yeah, the notoriously weak-willed and cowardice horse.
Yes, that we rode in war.
It's in every era.
And I love how they're saying that that's, like, when they stop moving, it's because they sense danger, they feel discomfort, or they're experiencing the unknown. And that's phrased as like...
Stupid burro.
Just stupid donkey.
Stupid dog.
Why won't let me load it down with 40 pounds and then walk it through a desert and pull it and prod it and a bunch of strangers are yelling at it?
Yeah. Just ridiculous.
If something scares them and they're nervous, they're going to just stop and assess the situation, Polanski said. Yeah, like a human would?
Pretty much. That's pretty much the gist of it.
Isn't this arguably worse, saying that no, donkeys aren't dumb animals that are defiant for no reason? They don't like things like humans, and when they get nervous, they don't want to move because they're scared.
And so what we did is we got as many humans as possible, and we said, scream! Scream!
Yell at your burro!
I can't imagine trying to be a burro and navigating that.
Healthy donkeys typically live 40 years or and vary in size.
Not these ones.
Not these ones.
Our donkeys barely last half the race duration.
My burro only lasted 2 years.
Oh, sassy.
Oh, poor thing.
Make it.
I loaded her up with gold bullion to make her feel more at home.
This year we decided to put ankle weights on Eustace.
This year I decided to ride atop Buttercup. I know it's not part of the race, but we're just so in tune with each other.
Well, she's carrying the other supplies, she might as well carry me as well.
Indeed.
Yes.
Let's see. Healthy donkeys typically live 40 years or more and vary in size from waist-high, quote, minis, unquote, that may weigh 300 pounds, to bulky, quote, mammoths, unquote. Burros first appeared in the region more than 400 years ago, led from Mexico City by Spanish settlers and Catholic friars.
If science and where it's going currently is able to bring the mammoth back, the woolly mammoth, I think the first thing we should do with them is put them in some sort of race.
Yeah, and I think that's reasonable, because then I feel like we're on more even terms, because these poor donkeys, some of them are pretty small, but you'd have to be really nice to a mammoth. Because it could pick you up with its trunk and then kill you.
Just give it a shovel and it'll be like, oh, okay, right, yeah. So this is what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah, I'm going to give a shovel to one of the few animals that could technically pick it up with an appendage and swing it at me. For those who rent or borrow a burro for the race, they are encouraged to show up early, or even the night before, to get acquainted with their racing buddy. Not unlike a blind date, says Lisa Kazmar, a massage therapist from Edgewood, New Mexico, who owns 4 burros with names taken from Harry Potter novels. Ooh, boy.
Can you say that one more time?
For those who rent or borrow a burro for the race, they're encouraged to show up early or even the night before to get acquainted with their racing buddy, not unlike a blind date, said Lisa Kazmar, a massage therapist from Edgewood, New Mexico, who owns 4 burros with names taken from Harry Potter novels.
So someone check on burros 1 through 4. Make sure they're okay.
You want to check up on Harry, Hermione?
No. Named after the novels. I would like to think that each burro is named Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. They all start the same.
Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban.
Aw, he's so cute.
Look at Deathly Hallows 1 and 2. Anybody who doesn't own one, you can go a day early and rent one.
I hate that. I think if you're gonna do this thing at all, you got to do it for the love of the sport, right? You have to be a burro owner, like someone that takes care of them, whatever. You don't just get to show up one day of the year, be like, "Yep, this is my pal." I think that's a load of malarkey, and I hope that anyone rents them loses.
After the race is over, what do? You just where does he go?
Pal,
like who provides the spare donkeys? Like where do the rest of the spares go?
Back to their ranchers. They probably make a killing. How much do you think it is to rent a burro for the race?
I don't know. That's a good question. Quote, "You don't know what the new donkey is going to do. It can be very scary," Kazmar said.
Right.
Based on how the race is described, they either move or don't move. Oh, this paragraph is something special. Burro racing emerged shortly after World War II in depopulated Colorado mining towns, and now is an official state heritage sport with marquee races in Leadville, Buena Vista, and Fairplay that blend county fair cheer and athleticism. The pun-loving Western Pack Burro Association manages the modern race circuit that extends from the Tombstone Donkey Dash in Arizona to a Weekend at Bernie race in Castle, California, and a new, quote, Burro Stampede, end quote, this year in the Magdalena Mountains of New Mexico. Tennessee got in on the action 5 years ago with a race held annually in April. Race and team sponsors include veterinary clinics, as well as brands selling sneakers, hydration drinks, and beef jerky. At Cerrillos, the team competed for Western belt buckle trophies, including a, quote, last ass, unquote, award for the final finisher.
You know what? I kind of love that. Because, like, a trophy, what does it do? Unless you put it on a mantle or something. Like, if you win a trophy, and the trophy itself is a belt buckle, you can just wear that around and be like, yeah.
Right, but you also have a burro, so you could
thing.
You could give them, like, a huge trophy and then strap that to your burro.
And then you have to, that's the way they keep it fair. So if you won last year, you have to race with the trophy as well. You add the weight.
The more races you win, the more suffering the burro experiences, so it can't move.
And that directly correlates to the enjoyment that you get doing
watching beasts of burden struggle is where we humans get our entertainment.
Yeah.
Success in racing doesn't come easy. According to Shane Wygand of Edgewood, New Mexico, a construction manager, burro race organizer, and backcountry outfitter for burro pack trips and tequila burro. Oh my gosh, this is one sentence. Success in racing doesn't come easy, according to Shane Wygand of Edgewood, New Mexico, a construction manager, burro race organizer, and backcountry outfitter for burro pack trips and tequila burro weddings.
Woof. That's quite the resume.
Quote, "You have to spend a lot of time on the trail with your burro, building up that relationship and trust," he said.
And for the vast majority of people that simply rent them, what I said doesn't apply.
Hey, I hate to say this, but if I'm the Burro and we run this and then that's it, trust broken.
That, and also, if I'm just a hired Burro and I'm just with some random, I am making it as difficult for them as possible. We are losing
down.
that. I am
you're gonna
taking
drag
you down
me.
with me.
Yeah.
I will walk in the opposite direction for as long as I can.
Man, these donkeys look sad. Ugh. Go to photo 10. The little girl can see it. In the lower left-hand side of the screen, the little girl, she sees the suffering on that burro's face.
Yeah.
That looks like an old donkey, too.
Yeah, it really does.
He's like, oh, this again. Gosh darn it, Sally. I told you I wasn't going to do this year.
I have an article.
All right, let's have it.
All right, this one I specifically found due to it being UK news.
Oh no, that I don't know. I already like where this is going.
Duck walks into pub, drinks pint, fights dog, loses, maintains bow tie. Not a joke.
That's the title?
Yes, it is.
Oh, feed me.
Britain's booziest duck that became a celebrity for downing pints in his local pub has been seriously injured in a brawl with a dog. Okay, so like out the gate, right? That means that there's just adults, that are okay with and facilitate the act of a critter in their restaurant drinking alcohol, which surely is illegal. I don't.
It's crazy the way that the article frames the booziest duck as though the duck is the one causing the booziness. Like the duck is like a habitual drinker that comes in and is like, "Give me the same as yesterday, Johnny."
It's like I'm pretty sure
you made the booziest duck.
And there's a picture of the duck drinking alcohol. There he is, the absolute legend.
That's a good thing. Who puts the bow tie on him?
Oh wait, I can answer your question.
This picture's amazing. I mean, this is like my profile picture.
That's who puts the bow tie on him.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, apart from my concerns with the duck's well-being for drinking alcohol, I mean that he looks happy,
The duck or the man?
Both. The bird, called Star, is well known for waddling around his favorite inns wearing a bow tie and swigging ale from a glass. The booze-loving duck and his handler, Barry Heyman, are a regular sight in their local taverns, some of which even give Star his own stool. Oh, heck yeah. But Star's drinking days could be over after an altercation with a dog after returning from his favorite watering hole, the old courthouse inn. Star came to blows and lost out to Pooch Meggie, which also belongs to Star's owner, Barry.
Oh no!
We have in-group fighting.
Oh no!
Heavens.
The betrayal.
They had a Mexican standoff and stared each other out. That's not a thing.
That's
before
what the
the
British
hound
do.
pounced.
The British stare each other out. They don't stare each other down.
Yeah, what is that even? Leaving the duck with his bottom beak split down the middle?
Oh no!
How does that happen? That's like the tough part of a duck. How do you... Barry, 69, that's his username, says that the dog tired of the Indian runner's duck... Wait, whoa.
What?
Says that the dog tired of the Indian runner duck's drunken antics... Whoa. And Star finally pushed his luck too far. He rushed the beer-loving avian to the vets, where he was put on painkillers and said he was praying his beloved duck would make a full recovery. Barry of Chumley said Star pushed his luck too far and Maggie snapped, splitting Star's bottom. Yeah, okay, we got that.
It's a duck.
He gave her a stare, then promptly stood on her back. It was not pretty and not nice. We were so scared we would lose Star. Grandfather of one, Barry, a former scuba diving instructor in Australia, lives with his wife Sue and plucked Star from the incubator in 2011 when he was just days old.
When Barry was a few days old, or when Star was a few days old? Let's get this straight.
I'm assuming.
I mean, this could be an old duck. We don't know.
That Star was...
Okay.
Yeah.
It was a little unclear there. I was like, the gentleman in the picture seems pretty old, but I don't know. The duck might just look really good for its age.
Yeah, who knows? He had to be rushed to the vets, and he had to undergo anesthetic, which is always risky and could go either way with ducks. Yeah. Yeah, common knowledge.
Unlike any other living thing that has to be put under for any reason. Ducks, real coin flip.
Thankfully, our Star is a tough cookie, and it looks like he came out okay. Whatever. He said they were pretty stressed out, but Star himself, the goat, seems to be okay.
Okay, so...
Barry was concerned.
Okay.
The injury would leave Star with a lisp. That would put his performance career in jeopardy.
Ha ha ha. Ha 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 ha. Wouldn't a duck with a lisp be more on brand? Like Daffy or Donald. Like, I feel like a lot of ducks have lisps.
As the duo regularly teams up to raise hundreds of pounds for charity with their unique street double act. What is the act?
Wait a minute! Wait, Barry does this with Star or the dog and the duck?
But vets have reassured Barry that Star should be able to take the stage again, and the injury will not affect the duck's dulcet tones.
What does this duck do? Is it a singer?
I'm pretty sure.
Is it a comedian?
Just drinks alcohol. I don't understand why they're talking about this.
He said street performer. What does this duck do on the street?
He said he just won't leave me, and so we go everywhere together. I've not trained him to follow me. He just seems to like it, and he is one fantastic duck.
Okay, Barry, work with me here. What does Star do that earns you money? What is Star's performance? Because the beer drinking seems like reward for Star. Do I think it's horrible? Of course. But for a Brit, I can't say I'm surprised. Let alone someone originally from Australia, that their whole country is just like Florida men. I get it, right? I'm not even questioning that. I'm not questioning getting your duck absolutely shwasted on beer and then it gets angry and starts a fight with a dog. I'm not even going to question that, all right? I'll give you that. What is the double act that you don't want this duck to have a lisp for?
The double act is he walks around and goes to the pub, and the duck is also there. That is the extent of the double act.
Oh my gosh, my head hurts. What does the lisp have to do with anything, Barry?
Well, his dulcet tones.
Is that just Barry being cheeky, where he's like, "Oh, I hope this doesn't affect his quack"? How nice must life be? Where your bread and butter is going to pubs and letting your duck drink booze. And that's it. And that's just how you live.
Yeah. That is the extent of it.
You think the dog was jealous?
Ooh.
It's giving Wallace, Gromit, and Feathers McGraw energy.
Yeah. Honestly, it down to the location.
Is that the whole article?
Yeah.
Bro, there's so many questions.
The duck Star pushed his luck too far by standing on Maggie's back. It wasn't pretty, and it was not very nice.
Is that mean for a duck to do?
I don't know. I thought it was kind of cool. Kind of like, isn't that the duck hunt? Isn't that like the whole... like the duo of the dog and the duck? And
well, I mean, in the game, you're shooting the duck and the dog's retrieving the dead ducks to bring back to you.
What's the game where the duck is like with the dog? They're like a duo.
No. I know what you're talking about. It's Duck Hunt. It's Nintendo 64, or not Nintendo 64. It's the original Nintendo. And no, you are shooting the ducks, and the ducks are being...
like in Like in the other games. Like
in
they're
Smash
in
Brothers, they're like,
a
team.
duo. Yeah. And the duck's
No.
on his back.
Nah, that's just like a haha, isn't this funny because we don't want to make it violent, but the ducks are absolutely getting shot out of the air.
But if you go to their Wikipedia page, their full names are Duck, in parentheses, Duck, and Dog, in parentheses, Dog.
Yeah, Duck and Dog. Everyone's favorite characters, Duck and Dog. They're matched up in Smash Brothers, and I don't know why, but they're quite literally like, the duck is not friends with the dog in the game. The dog is retrieving the dead ducks.
But according to their Wikipedia page, they are friends with Mario, Luigi, Yoshi, Pikachu.
Pause.
Solid Snake.
Pause. Read everything about this right now, off the terminal, right now.
The Partners in Justice? Mr.
What?
Peepers?
What?
Otherwise known as Bark Quack Boom?
What?
I don't see the confusion.
There's no way there's this much lore for those original Nintendo. There's no way.
Duck consists of an anthropomorphic dog and duck duo, along with the off-screen hunter that accompanies the dog and the duck. The dog typically attempts his best efforts to catch the ducks that were shot by the hunters, but failure to do so will cause the dog to laugh at the hunters to mock them. Jeez. You want to hear their power/skills?
Yeah, let's have it.
Flight, levitation, maneuverability, self-awareness, NES zapper, trick shot, clay shooting, duck jump, wild gunman, intelligence, cunning, agility, and athleticism. That one it says implied.
I have bore witness to this many times playing against Zack on the Switch, and it is an incredibly annoying character to fight against. I will say that.
You want another occupation?
Obviously.
Native of the wildlife.
Wow. That'd be a nice job.
They have in-lore enemies.
What? What?
Their in-lore enemies consist of the hunter,
okay,
Gleam, and Darkon. Gleam and Darkon are biblically accurate, like angel. They're eyes with millions of wings. They're like deities. Why are they enemies of the duck and dog?
I think maybe those are characters from the Smash Brothers Ultimate campaign. I'm pretty sure those are like some of the bad guys from...
These are their listed enemies on...
Oh my god!
Wikipedia.
Yes, yeah, no, that's the main bad guy from. At least I know the winged one is the main bad guy from Smash Brothers Ultimate, like the campaign. But that is very funny that they're like, no, these are their enemies.
Yeah,
that's wild.
Amazing, just amazing.
Man, the world doesn't get less weird, does it?
No, I don't believe it does.
I don't think I'd have it any other way, to be honest. I want a race of ducks. They have to ride on top of dogs like the dogs are the pack mules. And if a fight breaks out, you're disqualified.
Okay, wait, but this is how you tie it in, right?
Okay,
The ducks on the backs of the burros, they use the things that are strapped to the burros as, like, Mario Kart style power-ups. And so you can have, ducks on the tops, and they're just hucking shovels and gold bits and canteens. And take the humans out of it, just all together.
Absolutely no! All humans are
disqualified.
disqualified.
Give the ducks the reins on top, and then just
drone
make it fully
footage
autonomous.
only. Drone footage only. No human obstruction.
Yeah, they don't even show up to the event. It's not a live event. They're out in the middle of. Let's just make it the Sahara. Let's just go all the way. And they just got to make it. They got to make it.
There's a track, there's walls to the left and right, but then the burros go at their own pace, and they just get to run with their friends, and the ducks who have to stay on the backs, and that'd be fun.
And that would be fun.
And that would be fun. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of the Morphing Tower Podcast, everybody. Hopefully you enjoyed this episode, and I was fairly certain that there was like a busted window, right? That was how we got onto this scaffold. Where is the busted window?
We're on the ground.
Wait, what? Oh my gosh. You're right, we must have been lowering this whole time? Well, as much as I would like to leave, I would take this opportunity to go through the correct channels to leave. But those large gentlemen with the shotguns, wearing full body black tactical gear, with the words MTP on the back, I think I might just take this back up and find my way back inside, because that's what a good employee does.
Yeah, and I'll stay here. I have a feeling I need to be a duck. You go on up.
Okay, good luck. Good luck.
I'll be all right.
Bye, everyone.